with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny premiering in theaters later this month, which will be the 5th installment in the movie franchise. I decided to finally sit down and watch all 4 movies for the first time, something that I've been wanting to do for a while but just never really got to. As a refresher to anyone who hasn't seen Raiders of the Lost Ark in a while, the movie is set in 1936, where archaeology professor Indiana Jones is venturing in the jungles of South America, searching for a golden statue. Jones later hears from a museum curator named Marcus Brody about a biblical artifact called the Ark of the Covenant, which the Nazis also happen to be searching for and are close to discovering its whereabouts. Jones has to set off to find the historical artifact and bring it safely back to America before the Nazis can use it for their own schemes. Other than a few iconic and well-known scenes from this movie, I knew relatively little going into it, and while there are definitely aspects of it that I didn't enjoy, overall I really liked the movie. The fast-paced start of the movie really helped get me into the story, and it never felt like I needed to know more background information about the characters. That may just be because despite not seeing any of the movies, I've still grown up knowing who Indiana Jones is, but even for some of the other characters, I felt that I knew enough to at least care a little about them. However, I would have liked to get in a little more background information on the relationship between Indiana Jones and Marion. I could sense some form of romantic relationship that ended badly, causing the falling out between Indy and Dr. Abner Ravenwood, but I think I would have cared more about Jones and Marion as a pair if I knew more about their history and what they had been through. After being the opening sequence, I was kind of expecting the Golden Idol to reappear in the movie and have a greater impact than it ended up having, but after finishing the movie and looking back, I'm not sure where it would have really fit in. As much as I would have liked to see the artifact resurface in the story, the opening scene did its job of establishing Jones's ability and his rivalry with Belloq. We then get to see Jones in his everyday life as a professor, and this was surprisingly my favorite part of the movie. I feel like that's probably an unpopular opinion, but I enjoyed seeing Jones's passion for archaeology and his knowledge in the area. I've always been interested in history and unsolved mysteries, so when Jones and Brody are speaking with the government officials, I felt like I was there listening to them explain the significance of the Ark and where it's been throughout history. Indiana Jones then sets off to find the headpiece of the Staff of Ra, which will locate the Ark, and for really the entire second act I started to lose interest a bit. After the quick start to the movie, this part of the adventure felt very slow as they meandered through Nepal, Cairo, and then Egypt. It was probably because of any previous knowledge of how the movie went, but I never really bought the Nazis as intimidating villains, and I knew there was no way Marion was going to be killed off like that in Cairo. Even though I wasn't as engaged, I like that the story takes the characters to various places across the globe, rather than staying in 1 or 2 locations that all look the same. Despite being background characters, the community in Nepal brought a life and energy to their scenes, specifically at the end when Jones arrives with the Ark. The inclusion of the monkey spy also just made those specific scenes that much more enjoyable. The action helped with the slow feeling a bit, but there were certain times when it dragged on for me personally, and I think some of the fight choreography showed its age. I try not to hold the age of the movie against it, because advancements in the industry are going to happen naturally, so there are going to be certain visual effects or action sequences that don't look as good as they would today. But I'm also not going to act like it doesn't affect my enjoyment of the movie. Speaking of visual effects, even though they did look a bit dated, I was surprised at how good some of the scenes looked, and I especially loved the brightness and focus on anything gold, which added a mystical and valuable element to any of those objects in the movies. There are certain scenes in Cairo or Egypt where I had to look past a few illogical situations, like no one really caring what Jones and Salah were up to while looking for the Ark in Egypt, but none of it was a deal breaker for me. The rest of the movie kind of blended together for me, but the entire car chase scene was exciting, and there were a few comedic moments that really hit for me. Overall, I think especially when considering the movie came out in the 1980s, there were a lot of things for me to like about this film, even though there were times when I did find my mind wandering. I don't think it'll be something that I rewatch often, but it's a well-made and overall good movie in my opinion. Comment down below what videos you'd like to see in the future, and what you think of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Remember to like the video, and subscribe for more movie content, and follow me on my various platforms listed in the description. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you again tomorrow.